What's that unique lens that you look through the world on? What value do you add? And finding those matches, finding those clients and production companies that you want to date, where you add the most value. Hello everyone, and welcome to this third session in our series First Aid for Film Freelancers. Today's session is entitled Me, What Career Do I Want? And that's exactly what we're going to do a deep dive on. The first part of the session is building brand me, and it's made up of 3 parts. What skills do I have? What are my brand values? And who do I want as my customers? After that, we'll move on to part 2, articulating brand me. And this starts with a simple question. Why me? Why do my customers hire me? And then we'll finish up with the different marketing assets that you can use to articulate your brand. Let's think about that usual freelancing conundrum that is what we're probably all more used to than anything else, which is that we're spinning loads of plates. We've got all the different projects we're working on, projects in the pipeline, and these plates tend to take priority over the hats that we have to wear as a freelancer, the CEO's hat. What direction do I want to take my freelancing career in? Finance hat. Have I invoiced everybody? Has everybody paid me? Where is it at? What do I need to chase up? Marketing and sales. Have I got projects coming down the pipeline? Have I got new clients to talk to? All of those questions. When we're knee deep in the thick of production, marketing and sales can feel like something that we don't have time to do, but then we pop out the other side of the production and our pipeline's empty. So we have to think about these things. And then operations. Perhaps you're working on 3 or 4 projects at the same time. How do you manage and organize your time? So that's the sort of situation that we're often we find ourselves in when things are up and running and the industry's going. But that's really different at the moment. You know, really the plates have stopped spinning. Projects have been cancelled or they're on hiatus. So what does this mean? It means it's an opportunity to work on your freelancing. And as the CEO of your own freelancing career, you can think about, well, what direction do I want to go in? Where can I go? What can I do? It's not just enough to work in your freelancing. It's about working, great freelancers work on your freelancing. So what we're going to start doing now is how do we build brand me and how do we look at the skills that we have? And it goes a lot into your mindset and really understanding the utility, the value that you bring to your customers and really trying to unlock that. And I start by suggesting that you do that through a skills audit, because you're looking at what skills you currently have and what skills you need to do the work that you want to do, and where are those gaps and how do you match, how do you find that? So I'm going to talk to you about, and those are your hard skills, your technical skills, the technical skills that you need to have to do the work that you do. So if you're a DOP, that's your camera skills, your ability to use the camera. If you're a makeup artist, it's your ability with the makeup brushes and applying the makeup. So those are your very technical skills. But you mustn't forget the soft skills, which are incredibly important in this industry. It's a people industry, it's a networked industry. So your communication skills, your management skills, your leadership skills, your collaboration skills, your ability to get on with a team at really short notice, all of those are incredibly valuable and can help you really stand out, particularly in the early stages of your career where maybe you don't have as many credits or as much hard skills as other people. But actually, if you've got very good soft skills and you can really adapt and join a team and be proactive, you can really stand out, and that can really help you to gain traction. And then other skills, those are all the things that you do that you probably don't think relate to your career. So you might be a fabulous baker, you might be a gardener, you might have a huge passion in medieval history, whatever it is. But if you know what those skills are that you have, there are interesting ways to try and find matches with different customers and clients that you might want to work with. And it might help you really stand out, even though you've never chosen to pursue that. You might find that there are clients that really value those other skills that you have in a way that you've not perceived it. So the skills audit can help you to unlock that. So How do you do a skills audit? Well, you start by thinking about, where am I now? And against those 3 types of skills, the hard skills, the soft skills, and the other skills, you want to list all of the skills that you have. And then you want to think about, well, where do I want to get to? Where do I want to be? What work do I want to be doing? If you're looking to change careers, or you're looking to rethink, what work do I want to be doing? And what skills do I perceive you need to have to do that? What hard skills, what soft skills, what other skills? And you can write a list. So once you've written that list, you can then rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5. How good am I? How good am I at the skills that I'm doing for the work I'm doing now? And how good am I already on all the skills I've listed for where I want to get to, so I can rate myself. So that's a really good start. But then it's really important to do some corroboration and ask people who you trust to rate you. Because one of the things I've observed over talking to lots of freelancers over a long period of time is that the things that we take for granted in ourselves are often the things people value most highly in us. So we can't always see what those things are. So if we talk to people who know us well, who we trust, whether they be friends, family, colleagues, mentors, old bosses, whatever, people that you trust to rate you, you can start to find out some really interesting things about, actually, I might think that you're much better at something than you think you are, because actually maybe you're just not feeling very confident about that. And that might be just a reflection of the current state where people are feeling quite low about the work because we haven't had any work for a while. So talk to people you trust and ask them to rate you, and ask them to identify, have I missed any skills? Are there other skills that I'm really good at that I've missed? So you build up this picture, and then you can look at, well, my friend thought that I was a 5 on this, but I only think I'm a 2. What does that say? Who's right? And you can start to look at those discrepancies. And when you analyze all of the results in the picture, you can then start to say, okay, I can put together an action plan. I've identified the gaps in my skills. I know where I want to get to. I've identified those gaps, and I can come up with a plan to how to improve those skills. So that starts to bring together for you the sense of how to build a picture of your skills and what you have. So that's a really good starting point. And then the other question that I'm talking to people a lot about at the moment is, who am I when I remove the film and TV mask? And what do I mean by that? I mean, if I remove the job title, what are the skills that I have left? If I'm a cameraman, what happens if I put down the camera? What skills do I bring into the room? If I'm a makeup artist, if I put down my brushes as a makeup artist, what skills do I have? What can I use these for? How can I transfer them? If I'm a producer, what happens if I take the TV producer label off? What skills do I have? Because particularly when we're thinking about, actually, do I want to change career? Maybe I want to build up a portfolio career, so I'm not just reliant on one type of income. So how do I transfer over? And by trying to work out who I am when I take off the mask can help me to understand what skills I have, and then find where they will be valuable. So and then that sense of that portfolio career, which I talked about, I jumped ahead there earlier and I talked about that. So what do you do? Those 3 or more answers that seem not to have any logical connections. So maybe you looking at how you could, what strands you could build up to build a portfolio career. And from that, you can get a great big blank sheet of paper and you can write down all the things that you can do. And it's worth taking some time to just brainstorm with yourself about all the different things that you can do, all the skills that you have, all the knowledge that you have, technical skills, hard skills, soft skills, other skills. Map it all out. And then later on, we can look at how you can translate that into something that your clients, your customers might want to buy. What does success mean to me? And I kind of think I'm looking at it from a short-term perspective, from a medium-term perspective, and from a long-term perspective, because for me, it took me a long time to realize that success is a very personal thing. It's a definition that I create for myself. And I can deem myself to be the most successful person I know if I choose to congratulate myself on my achievements and the things that I get up to. It's not about comparing myself to the person that sat at the next door desk to me 5 years ago and finding that they're now a really senior commissioning editor and I'm still a production manager, or whatever it might be. Success is determined by me and it's within my control. So I can choose to be successful and feel successful. And at the moment, success in the short term with coronavirus around is about getting through the day. It's about very small achievements. It's about, you know, I'm at home with kids, we're homeschooling, we're working, you know, there's a lot going on. So getting through the day, getting a bit of everything done, keeping everybody on an even keel, making sure we've got food. That's a really, you know, it's very, very basic at the moment. In the medium term, I'm looking at, okay, so, you know, we're looking at, well, actually, you know, where does my career take me? What do I want to be doing in the medium term? What do I want to be doing in the longer term? And really defining those goals for me under my terms and valuing the fact that I've chosen to value my success as being a part family success and part career success, and those keeping those parallel tracks going for me is, for me, the key definition of success at this time in my career. Before I had kids, before I settled down, my career was my primary focus. So we're now going to talk about how we articulate brand me, and particularly this phrase, why me? And the author and motivational speaker, Simon Sinek, wrote a fabulous book called Start With Why. And this is where we start to think about, instead of thinking about what we do, which provides a factual understanding, it's about, it commoditizes, it just gives us the basics of what we do. Why is a differentiator. If we can explain why we do something, we connect with the heart. So I'll give you an example of this. So when MP3 players first came out, they focused on all sorts of different features and benefits, what different facts, what different buttons they had, what different features, what they could do. And every time somebody brought out a new MP3 player, it had yet another feature. So that became the top of the range, and the next one went down in price, and then the next one came out, and it carried on. So you can see it's a cutout from Amazon. That one costs $19.99 with all of those amazing features. And then Apple comes out with the iPod, and they explain why you need it, because you can have 1,000 songs in your pocket. That's why you need it. You don't need all those features and benefits and all the what's. You just need it because you can have 1,000 songs in your pocket. It connects with the heart. And when the moment you start to connect with the heart in terms of why your customers need you, you can retain that value because they understand the value that you're bringing. And that why is incredibly important. When we sell ourselves based on what, it's about a commodity. We're not showing the value. We're just saying, well, I can do, this is what I do. When we sell on the why, we connect with the heart and we can show our customers, we're thinking about what our customers need and why they need us. So I use this when I, as a freelancer, when I sell my services. So I say, well, why do clients work with me? And I've worked out that it's because I transform creative ideas into a business reality. That's the why me. Clients come to me because I can transform creative ideas into a business reality. And I do that with all of these different clients. And it's the common theme through all of the work I do, whether it's writing a book, my book, The Freelance Bible, whether it's transforming creative ideas for ScreenSkills, creative ideas for training courses, bringing training courses to life, bringing people together, doing the marketing, getting out there, whatever I'm doing, that constant theme about clients can understand why they come to me. They've got an idea and they want to realize it. And that's a lot, that goes back to my production management roots. I create a budget for a TV show and then we make it, and I'm part of the team that realizes that. So understanding that why piece is really important to think about and help you to verbalize why your customers should hire you, and why you add value. So when we talked earlier about this is what I can do, and we had the big blank sheet of paper, that was all of your what's. This is what I can do. Now the challenge is to take that sheet of paper where you've brainstormed and translate that into why me's. Why do you add value? If you work with this company, does that mean their turnover is going to go up? Are they going to make savings on the bottom line? Are they going to deliver their film more creatively, more efficiently? Why do you bring that experience? Why is it you? And that's partly around your skills. It's partly around who you are. It's about your values and your skills, and that piece together is really important, because that way your clients, you're speaking their language. And I'll give you a really good example. When I ran some workshops for a creative enterprise startup, I had some young girls on the workshop, and they were adamant that they wanted to sell filmmaking workshops into schools, and they had lots of meetings with schools, and they talked to the head teachers, and the head teachers listened, and yes, these filmmaking workshops would be lovely in our school. However, we don't have a budget line that says filmmaking workshops, so I'm really sorry. When we do, we'll come back to you. And they were really frustrated. And so we drilled into this in the workshop. So I said, well, why do you feel that schools should have filmmaking workshops? And they looked at me with this kind of, well, it's obvious, Alison, kind of face. And they said, well, when you make films, you are engaging pupils, and then you're doing literacy through the back door. They've got to do their research. They've got to read stuff. They've got to write scripts. They've got to perform. They've got to work as a team. It's all confidence building. So it was really obvious to them why the filmmaking workshops added value to the schools. But they had forgotten to express that when they went in and talked to the head teachers. So we worked this out in the workshop, and I said, so actually you're not selling filmmaking workshops to schools. The business that you're in is literacy services, literacy enhancement. So you could go on to Ofsted reports for schools in the local area. You could look at which schools were struggling with literacy, and you could pick those off and say, we can solve your literacy challenge. We can solve that. We have literacy enhancement services. We do that through our filmmaking workshops. So suddenly the schools could understand why these video workshops added value to them, because they were talking in terms of why their customers needed them. They were connecting with the heart of the problem that the customer had, and they were talking that customer's language. So that can be quite alien in film and TV. If we're experienced, we've been working in the industry for a while, we know why people need us, because they need a makeup artist, they need a producer, they need a DOP, they need that because they're crewing up for a production. But when we're trying to sell ourselves in other sectors, they might not have those same direct needs of a production that's crewing up. So you've got to sell to them in a different way and explain to them why they need you and what value that you can add to them and to what they do. And I wanted to talk about the different ways that different marketing assets that you can pull together for yourself, and how they work, and what to think about, because there's sort of, I was writing a list, and it just kept getting longer and longer when I was thinking of all the different ways that I get my brand, and you can get your brand out there. And it starts as simply as an email, having a professional email address, having a decent signature which has maybe a link to your website, to a show reel, whatever, but a phone number. I mean, as a freelancer, I put my phone number on the end of all of my emails, because I want people to be able to get in touch with me. I'm having to be a bit more careful now that I've published my book. So I tend to have certain emails that I send out when it's about the book that might not have my email. But when I'm looking in a B2B and a film environment, then I'm very much making sure that I put my signature there and I'm easy to get hold of, because I will use, and it's probably really poor practice, but I'll use my email inbox to search for people's contact details, people's email addresses, and I'll search through. So if your email name if your email address doesn't have your name in it, then it's going to be really hard for me to find you and hook up with you again if I haven't actually entered you into my address book. So think about just even as simply as what your email address and your signature says in terms of marketing to people. So that's email. Your CV, absolutely, you've got to keep it up to date, and you've got to keep it relevant to what you want to do. If you're looking to change careers, or you've got different strands to your bow, you might need slightly different versions of it for different audiences. So being aware of that. You know, we do speak a real shorthand in film and TV where it's all about what your role was, what the production was, who your line producer was, or who the producer and director were, and that gives away a lot of information within the industry. Outside of the industry, you might need to embellish that a bit more with a personal statement and some sense of what the responsibilities were that you want to pull out to show that you've done. But again, your CV, it's an important marketing asset that you can send out to people and make available. Biography, as you get more experienced and you get involved in different things, having a biography that's up to date, again, is really, really useful, particularly if you want to be seen as an industry person, maybe talking, getting on panels, that kind of thing. So having a biography, even just to put on a website, whatever, it's really helpful to be able to explain who you are, what you do and why you do it, why you work with people in a prose form rather than a CV format. And then, you know, this is a creative industry, so those are all quite wordy things. So actually, what does your creative portfolio look like? You know, it's been less relevant to me because I've always been on the production management side. So I've stuck to the CV and the biogs and the emails. But if I were on the creative side, I'd be looking at what are the video clips, what are the stills, what are the drawings, what is in my portfolio to show my creative work. Johnny's in development, so what are the ideas that he's been working on? How is that presented? Where do you host your portfolio? What do you put it on? You can on the ScreenSkills website, you can have a portfolio. You can use that as a space that people come to. Maybe you have a website that you do that on as well. What about a show reel? Now, there's different schools of thoughts about show reels. It's really valuable to have one, but they also get out of date really quickly because you're constantly updating them. So how do you show people a sense of what you can do and keep it up to date, particularly when things are busy? So maybe we want to look at, rather than that traditional linear show reel, maybe it's a show reel within your portfolio so that you're looking at different clips, and maybe it's a YouTube channel or a Vimeo channel which is private, that you can share with people to just show clips of things, maybe not edited together if you don't need it to show your editing skills. So thinking about what shows you in the best light. Now, you know what work will show you in the best light, and you'll also know, depending on the type of project. And we've certainly touched on this in our conversations, Marcia, whereby, you've got a lot of makeup experience over your 20 years in the makeup industry, but only 2-3 years in film and TV. So you balance your work between the bigger productions where you're not a senior and the smaller productions where you might be the makeup designer. So as a makeup designer, people are going to want to see your portfolio, your show reel, and what you've worked on. But at a more entry level, that might be less important. So understanding at what point you're at and whether you need to show that creative side of what you do, particularly at entry level. If you're just starting out, you're not necessarily, your show reel, you might be really, really proud of it, but it might not be the right context to show it if you're going to be a runner on a really big production. So understanding what you've got and when it's appropriate to share it with the person you're talking to. You might be writing proposals about what you might want to do. If you're a head of department or something like that, you might be suggesting how you would put together the project, what you would do, how much you would charge to put your team together, how many people you'd need to realize that. So again, you're still marketing yourself with every document you send out, every presentation that you give. whether that's a verbal presentation or whether it's a PowerPoint type thing, these are all places where you are marketing and selling yourself. So being really conscious about what you can do. Your website, how much do you want, how important is it to have a website for you, and what do you want it to do? I'm always a fan with websites that less is more, because I see freelancers and the work that we do. We're a designer item. We're a luxury item. We bring specialist skills to bear to work with our clients. So it's not a commodity. It's not like shopping on Amazon to buy a book, to buy a mug. You know, I don't want to have a shop on my website that says buy me now. I want to have that personal contact with my clients to talk about how I can service their needs and add value to them. So my website is there because I want them to get in touch either by phone or by email. So when they do, I need to make sure that I respond well. So what does that mean? Do you need a website when you're first starting out? If you're good at that sort of thing anyway, then probably it's a great idea. Do you need it straight away? That's a decision you can make. But keeping it simple and just encouraging people to get in touch is really what it's all about. And then we move on to things like IMDB. So making sure your credits are up to date, because if I'm looking to find out, I've heard somebody's name, or I'm looking for somebody, I'll often look on IMDB to see what they've worked on and that kind of thing. So I can control that. I can make sure my IMDB profile is up to date with the most useful, with the most up-to-date information. And then crew databases. So I'm based in Birmingham. We've got a great crew network up here called Crew Birmingham. So if there's a producer who's coming up to Birmingham and thinking of filming here, they're probably going to look on the Crew Birmingham database, and they might find me as a production manager. Great. So I've got to make sure that whatever entry I put on that crew database, that is that producer's first encounter with me. So I've got to make sure that what I write on there is absolutely fantastic, because I want them to phone me. They're not going to phone me if my information looks out of date, if I've got spelling mistakes, if I don't write really useful, if I don't show a good amount of knowledge. So sometimes it can be really easy to think, oh, I'll just Scrabble, I'll just write down something so I'm on that database. But think about the user journey and how people find you. You know, if they're coming up to, if you're based certainly out of London, or even in wherever you're based, there'll be a database that you'll be on. So thinking about that's probably a new client's first contact with you. And there's probably at least a dozen other people that will come up on that search. So what's going to make them contact you? Make it really clear why they should contact you. It's up to date, it's got the right information, you've got the right credits, and you've got the right links to show that you're that right person. Social media, again, that can be really valuable, but you've got to think of it on two sides. On the first side, you know, have I got my privacy settings right? Am I coming across as professional? If someone searched for me on Facebook, on Instagram, what are they going to see? Are they going to see my social life? Is that an issue? What does that look like? You know, do I want to have two profiles, a personal profile and a professional profile? And then also, how can I use social media to find opportunities? Certainly a lot of film and TV, Facebook groups advertise various different places of work. So, you know, it's often really important to be on them, but balancing how the information you put out and making sure it's professional with, you know, how you're using it. And it all is about how you interact with people. So how you interact on those Facebook groups, how you help people out, how you validate information and get into conversations. Really think about that, because it's all about how you present yourself. And I think finally, I've talked about lots and lots of different things, but actually word of mouth is one of the key things in this industry. It's that word of mouth. It's those people, those sponsors, those people who are talking about you when you're not in the room and saying, you know, she's a great person to work with. He did a fabulous job on this. This is a networked industry, and we are all talking, you know, we talk to each other, we recommend different people. So you want to make sure that the words that come out of somebody's mouth about you are, you know, that they're a good person to work with, they delivered well, all of the stuff that we've been talking about. But don't underestimate that as an asset within your marketing. And I kind of you know, pick up what Johnny said about, you know, standing out and being different is a key part of this, being remembered. So you've got lots and lots of different tools, and you know, most of those are not very complicated to get right, but hopefully you start to think about them in a new way. And I think I'm still zoning back in on the crew databases, because I think you can make a huge difference in terms of how people will reach out to you, how they'll respond to you, you know. And now would be a great time to go through those databases, see which ones you're on, make sure they're up to date, make sure they've got the right details, so that as and when things start opening up across the country, and they really are, you know, packed, and the broadcasters have issued guidance about opening up post-lockdown. The British Film Commission are publishing their guidance. I know that ScreenSkills and First Option, the health and safety people, there's lots and lots of consultation going on, and there is an absolute push to get this industry back moving again. So now's a great time for you to be thinking about getting your marketing assets up to date, so you are in pole position to be in contact with people as and when things do start to open up. So thank you everyone very much indeed. It's been a pleasure today, and I look forward to seeing you all soon.